That much to talk about because division is pretty much the same thing as multiplication as far as negatives go, right? If you have like negative 8 divided by negative 2 divided by 2, is that going to be positive or negative? Positive. Two negatives when you're multiplying or dividing are going to be positive. So that would be positive 2. Let's see. I think there's mostly just two numbers on today. But if only one of them is negative, then it is negative. Okay? You guys might not know this. Here's something that might be new to you. Let's say 5 divided by negative 2 is the same thing as 5 times what?
0.5. Point negative 5.
Point 2. Negative 5.
Negative 0.5.
No. Negative 2.
Negative 1/2.
Yeah, it is negative 1/2. So one way you can think about it is like, you guys remember dividing fractions?
Yeah.
How you flip it and multiply. So it's the same thing as multiplying by negative 1/2. Okay, so if you took your age, if you're starting now, you need to put your pencil down, Luke. Anybody else? If you took your age and divided it by 2, I forgot how old you guys, like 14. That's the same thing as doing 14 times 1/2. Okay, when you multiply by a number less than 1, it actually gets smaller. So this would be like negative 2.5. Just like this would be negative 2.5. But there are a few fractions today, so let's do an example with that. Let's say I had negative 12 divided by 2/3. Here's a hard question. Is this answer going to be bigger or smaller than negative 12?
Bigger.
Well, it's a bigger negative, which actually means it's smaller. Because how many 2/3 go into 12? Well, 12 ones go into 12, so there's going to be more than 12 2/3 that go into 12. That makes sense. It's going to take a lot more 2/3 to get up to 12 than just 12. Well, anyways, so what do we do when we're dividing fractions? So raise your hand, Luke.
Keep it, change it, flip it.
Okay, keep it, change it, flip it. So negative 12, though, what do we do with negative 12? Over 1 times 3 over 2. So right at the beginning, I would just throw the negative in there and then just don't worry about it after that. Some of you are still forgetting the negative, and then even though you're doing the work right, you forgot the negative and makes the whole problem wrong. So be careful on that. And then we talked about this yesterday. You can cross cancel. By the way, when would you cross multiply? Does anybody know what situation that happens, Hank?
When you compare fraction sizes?
Kind of. Okay, this would be a cross multiply problem. So what's different about this problem? Okay, they're equal to each other. This is when you, and we will be doing this year sometime, but that's when you cross multiply. This is a multiplication problem. You do not cross multiply, cross cancel. This is an equals problem. When two fractions or two ratios are equal, you can solve it by cross multiplying. Okay, anyways, that confuses people a lot of times, but all right, anyway, dividing by 2, so that's 1 and 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 1 is 1. And negative 18 over 1 is negative 18. All right. I don't know. We haven't talked about the decimals yet. I might just remind you, you guys remember how decimals work on division? There's only a couple of them. I'll just do the odd one with you and then to remind you how it goes. We'll do the same thing we've been doing. I want you to try 1 through 20 without a calculator. This will be like the last day, I think, that we'll have that rule. But the problem is, once we get to that chapter test, that first page is no calculator. And basically after that, you can use it whenever you want for the rest of the year. Okay. I don't really remember where we started and stopped yesterday. So, I do see a weird one though. I didn't think about this. What's 0 divided by like -5? Yeah, 0. We might have talked about this one day. I can't remember. But what's -5 divided by 0?
0.
Nope.
1.
Nope.
-5.
Nope.
Nothing.
Okay, it doesn't make any sense. I probably didn't talk about it with you guys. Okay, it's undefined. If you plug this in your calculator, what would it say? Error. Doesn't work. So the first one is like saying if you have 0 cookies and you split it into 5 for 5 different people, how many cookies does each person get? 0. This one is saying like if you have 5 people, well, the negative would be like maybe a money thing, but if you have 5 people, 5 cookies, and you split it among 0 people, how many cookies does each person have? Okay, question doesn't make any sense because there are no people. Does that make sense? So dividing by 0, never works. If you plug it in your calculator, it will spit out undefined. Hey, it will spit out undefined. If you plug in this in your calculator, it'll spit out 0. If this is a division bar, not just a fraction bar. It'll spit error out, 0 out, if you forget. Okay, because there are a couple of those on this assignment, so don't get them mixed up. Easy to get right, easy to get wrong. All right, number 1. Does anybody want to volunteer to start today? All right, Luke.
27 divided by 3, 9.
9. Okay. Number 3. Is it Jonathan? Dang it. I don't know if is there a trick to tell the difference between you two?
The hair different.
Like he swoops his and he doesn't? Okay, the waving. Okay, James. I might remember that. Okay, James, number 3. Okay, was it 0? No, it was this one. Dividing by 0 is undefined. Maybe make a note on your page or something.
So number 3 is undefined.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. 36 cookies split among 0 people. How many cookies does each person get? There are no people, so the question is nonsense. I just said split among 0 people. How many cookies does each person get? There are no people in that example. So anyways, it doesn't work. Number 5, Jackson.
-9.
Yep, negative. Uh-oh. Well, 7. I want to say Amos, but I know that's wrong. It's something kind of like that, though. What is your name again?
Owen.
Owen, dang it. Couple short name, 2 syllables. Let's see. On this next one, Owen, is that going to be positive or negative?
It's gonna be negative.
Okay. Might be a little bit late to learn this trick, but if you're trying to guess like how many times 84 goes into 588, it might be about, if you're not using a calculator, it would be about the same as how many times does 8 go into 58. You guys know that? So how many times does 8 go into 50? That doesn't give you an exact answer.
7.
Okay,
So it would be
7.
-7.
Well, we gotta see if it actually works, because that only gets you close to the right answer, it doesn't necessarily give you the right answer. So you still need to check it. Alright, did it work? Yes. Okay, what did I do wrong?
Negative.
Don't forget the negative if it has one. Alright. So, on 9, let's see, Brooke, how many times, it would be like asking how many times does 2 go into 19? That would be like the question to ask, yeah. Remember, can you think of it? 9 times. So let's try 22 times 9. See if that actually works. Yeah. So, came out perfect. It should, but it is negative, so it's actually going to be -9 on that one. So we're dividing by negative. Okay, 11, round 2. Abby, do you remember what that one was? All right, Lauren. Undefined. Same as number 3, sitting right there. Okay. So on 13, Leah, it would be like asking, how many times does 8 go into 65? Do you remember that times tables on that one? I know you guys some of you are pretty rusty with times tables. It's all right. You remember that one? Your 8s? All right, how many times does 8 go into 65 then? Anybody? 8. 8. And I'm going to kind of save myself some work. So it might not go in perfectly. You'd have to check, see if it actually works. But Leah, would 13 be positive or negative? The top and the bottom are negative. So, right, so it's positive. So it does work. I'm not going to show my work on that one. But it does work as 8, yeah.
13.
Yep. 15. Okay, this is the one I actually wanted to talk about. I'm not going to do all these, but... Okay, it's 61 divided by 12.2. Okay, remember you put the top one in the box and then you go, the divisor goes out there. Okay, who remembers, I didn't mention it yet today, how do we divide by a decimal? By hand, Brian? Okay, you move the decimal till it's all the way to the right. However many decimal places you have to move this decimal, you have to move the decimal in here. Where's the decimal in here? At the end. So this decimal needs moved right 1. So actually that 61 is going to become 610. Okay. So I would ask, like, how many times does 12 go into 61? 5. So I would try, it's really 122 into 610, right? But the 12 and 61 should get you close. So let's see if 5 works. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. 5 times 1 plus 1. What a surprise, it works. All right. So that's it. Anything else? Did I forget a negative? Nope, no negative on that one. Where's the decimal at? In my answer, where's the decimal go?
On the right.
Okay, it goes straight up from where we moved it. So 5 point, that would just be like 5.0. It's just 5. It's at the end of the number. So you don't really have to write it down on that one. However, on 14, actually 14 doesn't have a decimal place, but 16 does have a decimal. All right, 17. Devin, what should we do first on 17? No, that's for adding and
Oh,
subtracting.
my bad. Can you flip?
Okay, which one do we flip?
The one on the right.
Yeah, the second one, yes, the one on the right. So, I probably wouldn't write down the original problem, I'd just write down -4/9 times 11/8. Okay, writing the original doesn't really help us here, so I would just write this down. And then, Davin, what can we do?
Just multiply.
Nope, something before multiply.
Cross the answer. Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah. You could multiply, but then you'd have to reduce. It's easier if you reduce it over here. What can 4 and 8 be divided by? 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So on the top we have -1 times 11, -11. And on the bottom, 9 times 2. And on these problems, multiply and divide, if you reduce it correctly over here, there should be nothing to reduce over here. If you didn't quite get it right, there will be something to still reduce, maybe. Okay. Looks like one more of those. So, what can we do, anybody, what can we do on 19 first? What should we do first? Flip it. So it's going to be -22/3. Is my answer going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
So let's just throw that in there. And can I reduce anything?
Yes. 11 and 22.
11 and 22 are both divisible by 11. You guys remember the multiples of 11, right? 11, 22, 33. So if you divide by 11, get 1 and 2. 5 times 2, 1 times 3. Do I need to do anything to that? No. Leave it improper. Okay. I'm not going to keep going, but I do want to point out like 25 and, well, actually 23, is that going to be positive or negative? Let's start with that.
Negative.
Negative. 3 negatives are going to make a negative. 25, what is going on there?
2/3 divided by 5/4.
Right. That's just kind of a weird way of writing 2/3 divided by 5/4. You guys see it? All right. Okay. I'm just going to cut you loose. Go ahead and get going. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.